All right, we're glad to have you back. Still on TVC Breakfast. Now, hundreds have died since the herdsmen farmers crisis started in Nigeria. Both farming communities and the herdsmen have been affected.
And there have been casualties recorded on both sides, but more on the side of the farmers. They have not only lost lives, they have also lost farmlands and properties worth millions. And of course, such have been destroyed. But more worrisome is a threat to Nigeria's food production.
Yes, indeed. Now, most of the states that have come under attack in Nigeria are known for their agricultural contribution to the country. A state like Benue, for example, which should be the food basket, or is actually the food basket of the nation, may no longer be able to boast of the food crops it produced in large quantities as a result of the attacks. Will Nigeria grapple with a possible food insecurity in the near future? Of course, the World Health Organization, World Bank, the international agencies have been predicting that by 2050, that Nigeria may just be facing famine. Well, we're joined from our Abuja studio by the convener of People First, Chris Nwokobia. He's a lawyer and a public affairs commentator. Good to have you on the show all the way from Abuja, Chris Nwokobia. All right, let's begin this way.
My pleasure to be here. The movement is country first.
Oh, yes, country first. Yes, indeed. Now, only recently, I think in the last 24 hours, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, in Benue, he went to Benue and he said, look, collaboration is the way out of these herdsmen farmers clashes if a permanent solution is to be found. My question to you, and the question that I've put across to so many others on this show, is, does government really know exactly what we're up against here?
Let me say, Persistimo, that it is my pleasure to be here to discuss this subject on a day that is very auspicious to me, which is, of course, is my birthday.
Oh.
And I'm talking about what pertains to the lives of the people.
Let's quickly
And
say
indeed,
happy birthday to you. We won't let that pass.
Sustenance of life.
Chris Nwokobia, let's say happy birthday to you. We celebrate you because you're, of course, a friend of the family.
Thank you so much.
And a friend
pleasure.
of Nigeria. Go ahead.
It's my pleasure. Like I said, the profound reality is the fact that we're talking about life. The Moretti herdsmen and how it affects the sustenance of life, food. And unfortunately, leadership has left these fundamental issues unaddressed. And I say this fundamentally. What we must begin to do, like the former President Olusegun Obasanjo opined, is to ensure that we engage the herdsmen and the farmers. We make them realize that what is primarily important first is the primacy of lives. You rear cattle because you want people to stay alive. You want them to feed. You cannot subject this country to the narrative of a banal comparison between the life of cows and human lives. It's a tragedy of sorts. We must deepen our values for lives. We must deepen our values for the primacy of human lives and the sanctity of human lives, and then make those who debate along those lines of importance of cows or cattle and human lives to stop it. The tragedy of our existence is the fact that, and I say this without fear of querulous critics, that those who defend government consistently continue to predicate their defense of whatever happens to what has happened in the past. We campaigned against the government of the past because this present administration promised improvement in the well-being of the Nigerian people, improvement in security, in the fight against corruption. And so if you want to score the successes of this administration based on the failure of the past, then it's a terrible narrative. I've heard people who have told us repeatedly that, oh, we've always had the killer herdsmen clash with farmers, and so it's not new. But I think that that narrative is unfair to the Nigerian people. We must dwell deeply on the sanctity of human lives and give a primacy to it. That's point number one. Then point number two is that those who operate within the corridors of power must understand that first, when Nigerians have abdicated their rights, quote and unquote, through the social contract theorem, the first thing the Nigerian people asked for was for government to protect them and provide for them. There is no excuse whatsoever not to do that. Every time you fail to do that, government fails. And you cannot continue to predicate present failure on past failures.
All right, Chris.
Point number three, I have a problem with what the IG of police said regarding some states that have made laws about protecting the farmlands and the farmers. He has no right whatsoever to make proclamations as to how laws passed validly by houses of assembly should be executed or implemented. So I think that the time has come for us to ask those who should pretend over our country to show a new body language, a body language that must be deepened on the primacy of lives and properties, indiscriminate of who is Fulani, who is Igbo, who is Hausa, who is Yoruba. And I want to say this because this is very important. I know that across this country, Fulani people are wonderful. So I have always repeatedly said that when we talk about marauding herdsmen, we should not say they are Fulani herdsmen, and I say this advisedly, because across this country, you may not have up to 300,000 Fulani herdsmen.
All right,
but
Chris.
you have well over 3 million Fulanis in this country.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
So we must remove our debate from ethnic precincts.
All right, Chris.
And call criminality, criminality. Call a crime by its name. Do not tend to ponder to the banal tendencies. We must begin to identify issues and call and shame them.
All right, Chris.
The time has come for government to fundamentally address our togetherness and make sure that the headers understand that we need food to survive. Make sure that we make the Fulani, the herdsmen understand that we need their cattle to survive, and move to the next level, that together we're better.
All right, Chris.
Together we can make our country greater.
All right, Chris, now...
and that together
all right,
we
Chris,
can
it is not the first time, that we have heard that there should be some sort of meeting or collaboration between the herders and the farmers to ensure that there is peace. It's not the first time. But what do you think is the reason that the meetings, all the peace meetings have not been working? Why do you think that is so?
Fundamentally, across the space, you find out that what you have is insincerity. Is insincerity. Insincerity on the side of the leadership of the headers, insincerity on the side of the leadership of the farmers, and so much of politics rather than love and brotherhood. And I do sincerely think that the time has come for us to think about these fundamentals. I have said that chiefly, one of the greatest problems we have is the divisive nature of the last elections. And I say this advisedly. You notice that, yes, we used to have marauding herdsmen threatening our space. But it's worse today. It's worse now. And the reason is because rather than try to unite the Nigerian people, what we have is an administration that tends to divide the people the more. We have a body language that gives an impression that these people belong to me, the others do not belong to me. We have a tendency in government that does not seem to unite people the more. And that is why you find out that whilst we're calling for understanding, the Miyetti Allah are threatening and saying that you cannot implement laws that were otherwise meant to protect the farmlands. And then on the one hand, you hear people who are saying that, oh, Mr. President gives them some kind of imprimatur because obviously, you know, he has cattle and then he tends to have a soft spot for them. But these are not the fundamentals in our national evolution. We must begin to deepen our debates to such issues that must unite us. And because I'm 47 years old today, I've seen cattle herdsmen everywhere. I lived seeing them around my neighborhood. Why is it that today everyone sees a herdsman and he takes off? He's on the run.
That's
Why
a
is
question.
it that today farmlands are destroyed and human lives, human barbecues are seen everywhere on account of their murderous actions? And then you ask yourself, what gives them the impression that they can kill and get away with it? These are the fundamental issues we must address.
Yeah.
When we address the issues that gives impunity to those who believe that they can actually take away, kill human beings and get away with it, when we deal with those fundamental issues and make people realize that if you go against the law, you pay the penalty, then we shall have people meet at the table of dialogue on equal footing. Then
All
we
right,
shall have a level
let me come
playing
in
field
very quickly.
where at the end of the day, you find out that dialogue will be as of equals, not as of unequals.
All right,
and when you have dialogue,
Chris Wakobia, allow me to come in very quickly, and I would appreciate if you can, you know, help us so that we can get in as many points and questions as possible, so that we can help decision makers actually reach, you know, some kind of reasonable solution to this problem. Now, of course, according to you, the ethnicization and politicization of the herdsmen clashes is not helping anyone. Now, the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, has cried out. He said, let me just quote him, you know, that food security is being threatened by herdsmen attacks. Now, this is a reality that is facing Nigerians. According to him, seed crops are being used as feed for cattle after invading and displacing the farmers, especially during harvest time. This is a reality. Nigerians may just go hungry because of this. So how does government begin to solve this problem in a way that it doesn't create another even more dangerous problem, which is food insecurity?
No, I have listened to practically all the sides in this national malaise. I have come to understand that the governor will definitely and naturally want to take the sides of his people. Then Miyetti Allah will want to defend their people, and consistently you see the back and forths. But the line you can draw through it is the fact that we have failed to understand that we must live together, there must be give and take. And then the second is that when you make accusations, we must take it to the next level. How do we solve them, like you noted? Yes, I am aware that we have heard and seen pictures where the herders have used crops, which is actually supposed to be food for the people, to feed their cattle. And that is very wrong. But what must we do? Nigerians have consistently talked about the need for ranches like obtains across the world. And some have said we need cattle colonies, which of course has failed everywhere in the world, including Pakistan. And so, interestingly, the collective debate has almost totally rested the issue about cattle colonies. Now we're thinking about ranches. But what is government doing about that? What effective steps have been taken? And then in addressing the immediate, what we must do, like I said initially, is that government must change its body language in approaching the issues of the herdsmen. They must say to the herdsmen that when you disobey the law and when you kill people, you will go in for it. Once there's a proactive and effective stand on consequences, you know, then a whole lot will change in how they approach these issues. I'll give you a practical instance. The day our dear president visited Taraba, just that same day, there was murderous dishing of human barbecues in Taraba. As you and I talked the day he visited Plateau State, we heard that that night there were people killing. And then you ask yourself, what has happened? Why are these people not scared of our dear president, and why are they not following the laws? And the simple thing is because there is a certain body language that gives an impression that they are mine. and that body language must be ruptured. We must deal with issues fundamentally and make Nigerians believe that truly we all belong together. And I do sincerely believe, like I said, that we belong together. I have told a few friends of mine who are saying that your pan-Nigerian persuasion befuddles them. And I say, no. If you have 3 million Fulanis in Nigeria, and less than 10% of them are the ones carrying out these actions, then you must not label them. And I said to one recently that if you look at the level of the National Assembly, one of the strongest opposition of the present government is in the party of the president, and he's a Fulani. I'm talking about Shehu Sani, and you have several of them. So what we must begin to do as a people is to call a spade by its name and identify what is primarily important.
All right,
put every Nigerian on the same footing. Treat every Nigerian equally. Give to the headers the impression and the true situation that the law will hold you if you kill people, and give to the farmers that same position that the law will deal with you if you disobey it. And then at the end of the day, you find out that all sides will be willing to dialogue, and then we can stem this impeding food scarcity. Because if nothing is done, I tell you, the predictions of the World Bank, the predictions of the IMF, and other agencies about food shortage in the next few years is a reality. But we must stem it. And I believe that proactive dialogue and proactive engagement is the way to go.
All right, Chris. Well, the Nigerian army, of course, has drawn a battle line. I said, look, the line has now been drawn. Whoever is found to have crossed the line would certainly face the music. Do you think that will also put a hold on the kind of problem that we have on our hands at the moment? All righty, welcome back. Of course, it's still TVC Breakfast, and we're talking about the problem of looming food insecurity in the country. But again, we have the convener Country First movement still there in Abuja, Chris Wokobia. All right, Chris, I asked earlier that the army has, of course, drawn the battle line and said, look, decisive action would certainly be taken against anyone who crosses the line. Do you think this will help in solving this problem we have on our hand to avert the looming food insecurity?
Yes, I think it will. I think it will do that because we live in a country where consistently we have people who do not want to obey the law until they are made to do that. And I sincerely think that if the armed forces decides to do what they must do, and do it without let or hindrance, do it without creating an air of specialness or exceptionalness, and do it without the air of this is our person and that is not our person, and do it with everyone being treated equally, you find out that the herdsmen and the farmers will be ready for proactive, engaging, and deep dialogue. And that's exactly what is needed now. I have told people that the penchant for blaming people, the penchant for throwing stones is not the way to go. We must understand that if we have lived together for so long, a united people, we can address our issues and walk the path of progress. And I say this advisedly. We have Fulanis across the West African sub-region. And they're living with their host, and they're living well. What we must do is diminish our tendencies for ethnicity, diminish our fault lines, and address issues fundamentally. But leadership must show the way. We need leadership that must show that every Nigerian truly belongs to the enterprise. We need leadership that must show that every Nigerian must be treated equally before the law and in every national protocol and tendency. We need leadership to show that we must walk away from our fault lines and deepen the bonds of brotherhood. And I say this advisedly. Next door here in Ghana, you have well over 23 tribes, and nobody is preaching the divides of tribe. In Tanzania, you have 128 tribes, and nobody's preaching the divides of tribes. So we must begin to deal generally. The armed forces, if they must contend with these issues, must treat every Nigerian as equal before the law.
Okay.
Must show that the marauding herdsmen must be dealt the same way the IPOB was dealt with. Must deal with the marauding herdsmen the same way crocodile went smiling, the same way the python went dancing. We must deal with every Nigerian as equal before the law. That's fundamentally important. Then those who should pretend from Aso Rock must throw away the body language that gives an impression that because I'm Fulani, I have special love for my people. Now, then fundamentally, we must unite and unify the Nigerian people along the lines of justice, fairness, and equity. When we do that, you find out that whatever actions the Nigerian Armed Forces takes in Benue and the North Central and the Northeast axis will yield sufficient results. That's exactly what will make it work. You know, true peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. And that's what we need in this country. And I believe that if we deepen the waters of justice, of fairness, and of equity, we will have sizable peace in this country.
All right, convener, Country First Movement, Chris Nwokobia, talking to us from our Abuja studio. We thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we do hope that just as he has, analyzed, leadership, those in authority, would do things the way that they should be done. Yes, indeed.
Of course, President Muhammadu Buhari has been raising the alarm.
That, things are handled.
Absolutely. President Buhari has been raising the alarm over the Lake Chad region, saying it is a ticking time bomb, more or less. If something is not done by, to solve the Lake Chad problem, which is a remote cause of the herdsmen clashes, of course, combined with climate change and all of that, we may really have problems, even bigger than this on our hands.